Yeah, Arkansas could win 2 or 3 games in the SEC and finish 6-6 or 7-5, but be one of the 20 best teams in the country. But they won't be ranked because of their record, but legitimately be better than teams ranked ahead of them. No question about that.
I mean, even coming into the year, there were some people who looked at their schedule and saw Texas in game two and thought, oh, there's no way, Arkansas is even going to make a bowl, just given what their schedule looks like. But that's why you play the games. And, right now they're sitting at 3-0. And again, they've arguably been one of the more consistent teams all year. And, you're right. They could win 2 to 3 games in the SEC and be bowl eligible, but they're a way better team than that. And Sam Pittman's got them going in the right direction.
And of course, they're playing an average team this week, so they should probably have no problem with that. Now, that's what Jimbo Fisher said, as Andrew told me before we started to record, about his football team. And I get the comment.
Yeah,
we all know based on talent, Texas A&M is not an average football team, but they're playing pretty average football right now.
Yeah, well, I think it kind of caught some people by surprise, but he was just speaking the truth. It came after they went over New Mexico. He was talking to the sideline reporter and said, we're an average football team right now, and kind of backed that up in the post-game press conference and said, it's just the truth right now. They've got to get better in a lot of phases. Now, he did say after he had a chance to go sit at home and watch the rest of college football action on Saturday, he said he felt a little bit better that, he looks around the country and everybody's got kind of flaws right now and everybody's looking to find their way. But I think that comment, kind of was a bit of a challenge to his team to step it up as SEC plays here and raise the intensity. And he talks a lot about meeting the standard, and, it doesn't matter who you're playing or, who's on the schedule. They've got a standard they're trying to meet. And even Leon O'Neal has said this week, if Jimbo wants us to play better, we've got to take it to another level. And he was able to point out specific areas and just said, really, it comes down to details, attention to detail, and some of the finer technique things that, they're just a little off right now. And it's time to get going because, you're going to be challenged the rest of the year. And if you're not playing up to the caliber you expect at this point, you're going to have problems in a hurry. I think that was just kind of a warning message to his team that, it's time to go now. And they didn't score for the final quarter and a half against New Mexico. Kind of took their foot off the pedal, up 34-0. And I think that was kind of his message. He wants to see them continue to play clean and pay attention to those details.
And for anybody who wants to be a critic of Texas A&M's performance to date, you can look at the scores against Kent State and New Mexico, and they're pretty much in line with what you would expect. I think they were roughly a 32-point favorite against New Mexico. They're right there. Same with Kent State. They were in the 29 to 30-point favorite range, and they won the game, I believe, 41-10. Yeah. It's a Colorado game, and of course, the circumstances involving the transition at quarterback with the injury to Haynes King, Zach Calzada having to step in and can throw a football team. And they just, considering what Colorado then did, turning around and playing Minnesota and just getting completely shut down to like 63 yards of total offense in a 30-0 loss. Different teams show up on different days and there are different matchups. So you can't take that complete comparison to say, oh, well, Minnesota's a lot better than Texas A&M. We know that's not the case, but it is a concerning look at a team against a pretty marginal team, and that they weren't able to put that game away and beat Colorado to the extent that you would expect.
Yeah, and no question, Colorado got up for that game, and they were really ready to play, and give credit to them for that. That was a game that they certainly gave A&M a lot of problems. I thought Zach Calzada played better this past week. They got in a rhythm and jumped out 14-0, 4 plays in with a touchdown pass to Devon Achane. A&M fans rejoiced when Damon Demas caught his 70-yard touchdown pass for his first career catch and went for a touchdown. But I think when you look at so far through non-conference or through these non-conference games, the problems have have kind of come up front, and I think that's something that's a bit concerning when you look at Texas A&M. It popped up in the Colorado game, and then to see it pop up in the New Mexico game, I know they were missing Layden Robinson and kind of had to shuffle the offensive line around. But when New Mexico's front's kind of giving you problems and living in the backfield and not allowing you to get the run game going, that's a little concerning with SEC play around the corner. And I think that's the one question mark with this team is, can the offensive line gel heading into conference play now? Because they've got to be able to get to with Zach Calzada at quarterback. They've got to be able to get the running game going to take some pressure off him. I think he can. I certainly think he can make enough plays in the passing game. But we've talked about this before. They've got to keep him out of the 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 11s, 3rd and 12s, or some of those long down and distance situations, because that's when he tends to make his mistakes or force the ball. If you keep him in 3rd and manageable situations, he's got a very live arm, and we saw that again this past weekend. But he just got to limit the mistakes. He's got to limit the turnovers, and that starts with protecting him up front and getting Isaiah Spiller and Devon Achane going, because those are certainly the two biggest weapons A&M has on offense.
Ainias Smith comes into the game with 13 receptions. Is he banged up? Do we know exactly what his injury status is?
Yeah, so Jimbo Fisher's been a little coy about kind of where he is, and he's called him day to day. He hasn't really described what the injury is. He left during the second half of the New Mexico game, and so we'll see. We hope to get some more answers on him later this week, but that is something that's a bit of a question mark getting into this game. They need him against Arkansas, and they also need to get him more involved. He's only, he had a big first week against Kent State, but the past 2 weeks, he's touched the ball only 6 times the past 2 weeks against Colorado and New Mexico. And for what he can do with the ball in his hands, they need to find a way to get him more involved, get him involved in, whether it's coming out of the backfield or in the slot or any way they can, they need to get him more involved.